I said most people they are generous, they give charity, and they take care of people because they believe in God. They believe in the concept of charity, right? So most of the orphans in the world, who are they being taken care of? By the people of God, Catholics, Muslims, Jewish people, right? So when you look at people who do not believe in God, generally speaking,
right.
I'm not saying no. Did I say all? No. Generally speaking, they are very busy in their own lives. They don't. I mean, why should they? Tell me why should they? Don't believe in God. They don't believe in the hereafter. They don't believe in the reward, recompense. Why should they move? Why should they do anything? God doesn't exist.
So
Who cares?
People who take care of the sick are doing it for their own selfish desire to get compensated in the afterlife. So they're basically selfish.
No, they're not selfish.
They're just buying credits.
There is a balance. There's a balance between believing in God and acting upon His teachings, and there's a balance between that concept and
Reward and
expecting reward in return. Okay, so God tells us you do it because I am telling you to do it, but at the same time you will get this reward.
Okay,
simple. So it's a reward. It's like a child. You tell a child, you do this, you'll get that. Okay, if you behave yourself today, you'll get a chocolate, or we'll buy you a cake or an ice cream. That's.
But I like to teach my children to be kind for the sake of being kind, not because I get rewarded.
That's a very noble teaching. But if your children grow up to be non-believers in God, and when they think about it, when it comes down to it, God doesn't exist. Why do I have to do anything? I'm just a biological animal, and I'm just a collection of molecules. I don't need to do anything. I just live my life. I don't need to. Let me very quickly. Why I belief in God leads to charitable acts and more generosity than not.
I agree with you.
Yeah. You agree with me?
No, I agree with you. I also think religiousness leads to separation, violence, hatred, racism. You know, I'm from the Jewish tradition, right? And I see a lot of my fellow Jews looking down on people who are not Jewish, feeling superior to them, and then some of them are violent and they fight people because they feel enmity towards them. They look in their scriptures and they see a God who expresses anger through violence in the Bible. I see the same thing with Islam, where there's the Quran has expressions of the divine using violence to enforce faith, right? And so, whilst I agree with you that there is a lot more charity in the believers, there's also a lot more coercion, a lot less freedom, a lot of anger, a lot of hatred also comes out of religion.
All the things you have mentioned, you have made valid points. You made a very reasonable point that there are religious people who have done those things, but it has more to do with people than the religion itself. No religion, including Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, teach violence against innocent people.
I think they do.
Or oppression. Okay, which one?
They do. So
which religion teaches that?
Well, if you take Judaism, because that's the religion I grew up. I'm an Orthodox Jew, right? And I read the Torah every week, the Hebrew Bible. Yes, the Hebrew Bible teaches that the Jewish notion, the Hebraic notion of the divine, right, is violently angry. Forget about exclusivity. It's violently angry. So prohibition, even the Sabbath, which is just a day of rest, right? If you breach the Sabbath, it's punishable by capital punishment.
That's between God and the Jewish people.
No, the Jewish people are supposed to stone their fellow Jewish people if they break the Sabbath. It says you shall stone them to death. Now, Jews don't generally stone them to death anymore, but the depiction of the punishment is stoning by death, and it comes from the divine. So the divine is depicted as a violent, thuggish, angry, very unforgiving, slightly crazed being, right? That's Judaism.
While what you say may be true, but that cannot represent all Jewish people and their understanding of God, because Jews also believe that God is merciful, He is generous, He is violent. That goes for any philosophy of law. What you just mentioned there, a threat of violence from authority, goes
Fine, for breaking the Sabbath?
No.
Or for not for blaspheming?
Okay. Yeah. Look,
Like, I understand if someone murders someone,
Yeah.
we should use violence to prevent them murdering another person.
Let
Put
me
them in
quickly
prison.
explain. Let me
But
quickly
if I
explain.
don't believe in what you believe, so could be your problem.
Okay.
Why should I hurt them?
Do you believe people walking around topless, women, they should be punished?
No.
But they get punished in this law.
Well, they shouldn't be.
Well,
Good luck to them.
I can ask the same
I'd
question
like
now.
to see more of
Are
them,
you
to be
being
honest.
punished for being topless? You just take your t-shirt off and you're going to be punished in Britain?
Yeah, I think you should
Yeah,
be.
well, that's the law.
I know.
That's the law.
It's a bad law.
Societies.
And there are societies where you are allowed to walk around naked.
Yes, I know.
That's fine.
But
In
then,
Africa,
but then
they walk around topless. It's perfectly fine.
no, not because of the law. Because that's the culture and
Fine.
the law is not applied there. In African
It's a
societies.
bad law here. I think we should have the African law.
No. Do you have an example of any good law in human history? Any
There
perfect
are
law?
loads of fantastic laws, but
For
they're not
example?
religious laws.
For example.
I think if you
Ali, give me an example of a legal
kill
system.
someone, you rape someone, you steal from someone, then you have a legal system that involves violence if they don't keep the law.
Well,
of course.
that's religious
Fine.
law. That's Islamic law.
No, I understand. but
You kill
Islamic-
someone, you
but
rape
my-
someone, you
but-
steal from
but
someone,
what happens if
you get punished.
blaspheme in Islamic law?
Right, that's a very good question now. Now, is the concept of blasphemy peculiar with Islam?
No, I'm talking. It's also in Judaism in the Torah.
No, it is
It's problematic across the gamut for me.
no,
I don't care.
no.
Islam is
Every
not-
human society
What-
believes in it.
Atheistic society kills
Yes,
blasphemers?
yes,
Which one? When?
yes.
Where?
Okay.
Which law?
First of
in
all-
this country, there's no blasphemy
Let me
law.
explain.
I can believe anything
Sorry,
I
let me
like.
explain. Let me explain. Let's say we have an atheistic society today. Atheists come to power
Right.
by whatever conception they have of atheism
Right.
in Britain,
Yeah.
and they start to govern. The president or the prime minister is an atheist, the military is an atheist, the generals are atheists, the press is an atheist establishment, and then they have to now apply the law,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Will that society allow absolute freedom of speech? Very specific question and very specifically worded. Answer my question specifically. Will that atheistic society, an absolutely atheistic society,
No, there'll be exceptions. For example,
Thank you.
Well, hang on, I haven't finished
These
yet.
are the exceptions we call blasphemy law.
No, not for blasphemy, not because of belief.
Co-
The only thing you can't say in a society with free speech is harassment, where you're harming someone else deliberately, or where you're shouting there's a fire and people get trampled on and die.
How about
That's
spreading
theatre.
hate against a particular group of people in an atheistic society? Would that be allowed? If someone wants to
What do
mock,
you mean spreading
if someone
hate?
wants to mock the Jewish people
They
in
should
an
be-
atheist,
They should be allowed to, in my opinion.
they should be.
Yeah.
They should.
People
And if
mock
the-
me as a Jew all the time, and I couldn't
It's
give
wrong.
a monkey.
It's wrong.
I
It's
don't
wrong.
think they should be allowed to.
You
And
are
we
one
should
person.
Knock them back.
Let's talk to the Jewish community. They will tell you
Yeah.
that when you allow people to be mocked, or when you allow people to mock,
Yeah.
what follows is a genocide. Let me give you examples.
Yeah.
How do genocides happen? Every genocide, every massacre in human history
Yeah.
has dehumanization behind it.
I appreciate that. I agree with
Okay,
you 100%.
how does dehumanization take place? By demonization. So
Yeah,
so
I
when you
agree with
demonize
you.
the people, you dehumanize them.
Okay.
And when you dehumanize them, you take the value away from them. And when the value has been taken away from them, then it is easy to kill them. Like what's happening to
100%
Muslims today.
I 100%
Like what happened to the Jewish people in the 40s, in Germany. Right, we're having a decent discussion here, sir. We're having a decent discussion.
I 100% agree with you that dehumanization needs to
So blasphemy.
No, blasphemy.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Is about
It's all-
specifically
it's
about
the
blasphemy is
question-
specifically about me
The question-
standing up in society and saying that I do not believe in God or a religion or your idea of religion or God. And that should be in Pakistan. You can get killed for that.
Okay, that's
Right?
not true, by the way. First of all, let me.
Well, that's what I-
I'm from Pakistan. You have a misconception. I live in Pakistan.
So there was
Very
the case
often
that
I
I
go
read
there. My
about
parents are
this
there.
woman.
So no.
So if I go to Pakistan tomorrow and I stand up with a T-shirt and I say, I love humanity, but I don't believe that Allah exists, yes, and I give out leaflets saying, I'd like to share my beliefs with you, nothing will happen to me.
No. I'm telling you, people are doing that already in Pakistan.
Right.
People are
what about this
already
case?
saying these things. Yes, if you insult the Prophet of Islam, if you insult God, if you insult Moses, if you insult Jesus, there are penalties. The law of Pakistan does not allow it. Likewise, in Britain, there are certain things you cannot
Like
say.
what? What
Wait,
can I not
like
say
for
in Britain?
example,
Yeah?
if you criticize homosexuality, if you say homosexuality is wait. If you say homosexuality is X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
you will be taken.
Rubbish.
Okay, wait.
Rubbish.
Okay.
I'll say it right here.
No.
in the
I don't want you to
Speakerscorner.
say it. Not
I don't
with me.
believe it.
Not
but
with me. I don't condone this behavior. But anyway, if you criticize the Jewish people, it is illegal.
I think it's a problem.
It is anti-Semitism. No, that's a good law.
I think it's a
believe
rubbish
that's a
law,
good law.
and I'm Jewish.
I defend that law.
If
That's a good law.
If people want to spread hate against Jews or Muslims or any homosexuality,
They should be allowed to do
they
it?
should be allowed to do it in public, and we should.
Then
we
you
should
want
come to them.
want the Jewish people to suffer again?
They shouldn't suffer. They should say he's talking.
Well, Hitler was
nonsense.
doing the same thing.
No, excuse me. Right, Hitler was using violence.
And where did that violence come from?
It came,
Where
it
did
came
the
from
intellect?
using guns and batons and
look,
knives
every
and
act of
smashing
violence,
things up.
every Nazism was an ideology. Every ideology has an intellectual impetus. Do you
I
agree?
appreciate that, yes.
Intellectual impetus is provided by philosophers, thinkers, or speakers, right? In that case, in Germany, the Jewish people were heavily demonized,
You're right. I
and by
agree.
extension, consequently, dehumanized, and that led to the Holocaust.
Yes, but you're
wait.
missing out a
I'm making a
detail
point. Why do we have freedom of speech laws, and why do we have hate speech laws? Why do we have them? We have them in every single human society. Why?
We don't have them in America.
Hate
Don't have-
speech laws?
No, there's
Okay.
no hate speech laws.
Seriously?
There's only incitement to violence, right?
Which is hate speech.
Well, it's not. It's
Well, it's-
incitement
you're
to
still-
a very specific type
Okay.
of hate speech.
Okay.
If I say to you,
So
in
there's no
public,
absolute
let's go and kill these people, yes,
name of Allah,
then
yes.
before you do it, I can stop you and say you're breaking the law.
What's your name?
But if I, Jonathan,
Jonathan.
yeah.
In the
What's your
name
name?
of Allah,
Thank you.
Thank you. What's your name?
Is the Adnan?
Adnan.
Is there a society on the planet
Yes.
today
Yeah.
where you have absolute freedom of speech, where you can open your mouth and say what you want?
Close. Yeah, America, you can close.
No,
Yes.
no.
Legally,
No,
yes, you can.
That's not true.
It's called the First
okay,
Amendment.
Okay. Can you stand in America
Yes. Go on.
and start? Let's say you start inciting people to join a terrorist group. Can you do that in America?
Well,
Let's say that you're not inciting hatred.
So
What you're saying
so-
is there is a group somewhere. Go and join it. Should that be illegal?
no.
Why not? You're
people
causing
should be
people to join a terrorist
If they
group.
want
Go
to
and
join
kill
a
people.
terrorist group, they should go and join a terrorist
No,
group and we'll fight the terrorist
no,
group.
you are an anarchist.
I'm not an anarchist.
You
I'm
are
not.
an anarchist.
I'll tell you what, I'm an optimist.
You believe in-
I'm an optimist, and I believe that if someone comes to Speaker's Corner here and says you're a dirty, disgusting Jew and we should kill you,
No,
I'll have a
that's-
conversation with
that's
him. I'm
very-
not scared of him.
No, that's very disgusting.
not.
That's indecent
Why?
behavior. Anyone saying that to
I'm
Jews,
not afraid. It's just words.
You need
I
to
don't
have
care.
a bollocks to do that.
we don't.
don't
You
think
see,
so.
this is why I believe in God. I'm thankful. I'm very grateful to God that I believe in God. You know why?
Yeah.
I don't
Which
think
one?
like
Which
that.
one? What's
I
the
don't
name?
think
Why?
like that. I'm not.
What's the name
I don't.
of your
I
God?
wouldn't
I'm not
like to
an
insult
anarchist.
people.
So many names.
My
No, I
God
don't
doesn't allow
like
me to
it.
insult people.
I don't like it. I just don't think it should be illegal.
It's more civilized. My belief is more civilized.
No,
than
it's not.
You
If
just
you're
said.
using violence. Here's the thing. Your system, yes, is extremely easy to misinterpret. So
No,
what
it's
you get,
not.
yes, it is. Well, in Pakistan,
Give me an example.
Okay,
Give me an example.
Let's suppose, I live in Pakistan, right? And I read the Quran,
Yes.
and I go online and I discover that my understanding of
Is wrong.
of Muhammad, right?
Is wrong, yeah.
Let's say it's wrong, but my misunderstanding of Muhammad, right, is that his relationship with a woman, she was very young and it was child molestation. I believe that about
Okay.
Muhammad, which is an insult
Okay.
to Muslims.
Then you need education.
Right? Fine. But let's not need
Then
education.
then you're illiterate and you're ignorant.
No,
you need education.
but I should not be punished for being ignorant.
Yes, no, you should not be.
No,
and
which
who
is what
told-
happens in Pakistan.
No,
What happens
no,
to
you have a.
Christian woman
We're sorry, we're having a discussion. If you don't mind, if you don't mind, thank you.
in a prison, my friend.
That's not how
Please,
it happens. If that happens, the first clause in the law is you reason with people. You sit them down, you give them books, you educate them about human societies, about human history, that back in the day, as late as the 19th century, the age of consent was very low, very low. In Britain, the age of consent was 7. You could marry a 7 years old by law, legally, according to the commentaries of William Blackstone. commentaries on the English law, William Blackstone.
Yeah, so it was child molestation in the UK too.
Yes, yes.
But the difference is
Okay, wait.
that the UK law is not held up as divine law from God through the prophet.
You said child.
So it's different. It's a different standard.
Can you be slightly decent and let us talk?
Giving the wrong point.
So it's a different standard.
Because you're heckling. You're heckling. There's no purpose.
Islam makes certain claims about its books and about its ideas and about its hero Muhammad, right? So
What
we're
you
looking
call-
and wait, and also Islam says that Muhammad's example is forever. It's not like just in the 7th century. It actually applies to the 21st century.
Yes, it
so
does.
it's a different standard. The British law was the old law was
It
now
has been
outdated, and we've grown up and we've progressed, and that law was discussed.
You have made a
by
very good
today's
point.
standards.
You have made a very good point. Muhammad is a model for Muslims forever until the day of judgment, and Muslims ought to follow him to the best of their ability. Now, how do we follow him when he was riding camels? When he was riding camels to Mecca. Now Muslims, you should all ride camels to Mecca, right? How would that sound? That would sound stupid, right? Muhammad's dynamics were different to our dynamics today. Their social values are different. Their norms are different.
Right.
In those days, people traveled by camels. They were using arrows and bows and spears and swords in war. We don't use that anymore. We drive cars. They never had that concept. They were getting
also
married.
have science.
Let me finish. They were getting married to younger women. Okay, we don't do that today. Why? Because dynamics have changed. Now,
Right.
it is the same Muhammad who taught us to be wary of the social realities you live in.
Right.
Don't break the norms of the people. Don't impose your ways on them, right? If it is not obligatory in Islam, something you have to do not practice it if it's not necessary in a society. For example, it is Prophet Muhammad who told us these things, that if something is not obligatory in Islam, you can abandon it to live in a society where that's not the norm, right? Today it's not the norm to ride camels. Today it's not the norm to get married to that younger women, okay, women of that young age. People used to do it in the past and they had no problem with it. Today we don't do that because that's not the norm. Norms have changed, dynamics have changed. It is our Prophet who taught us to not do that
Let me ask you
in this
a
current
question.
day and age.
Do you have
So-
kids? Do you have children?
Yes.
Okay. If your child comes home, says, Dad, I've read the Quran and I've thought about it and I decided that I respect your belief, right? But I want to be a good human being, but I don't believe Muhammad was a prophet. I think God is a big mystery, and I just want to live my life as a secular person.
Okay.
Right? How would you feel about that?
I would be very sad.
Right.
I would be absolutely devastated.
Okay.
At the same time, I would sit my child down and reason with my child even for 10 years.
Okay.
Even if I had to reason with my child for 10 years, I have a case with me right now. There is a father, Pakistani father, from a very conservative society called the Pashtuns.
Yeah.
You know the
Yeah,
Pathans?
Pashtun, Afghanistan,
Very
okay.
conservative
Yeah.
people. His son has problems.
path.
He's left the path.
Right.
He's absolutely left the path. He contacted me. He said, I have been trying to reason with my son for a very long time. I said to him, what advice did I give him? Continue with love and compassion.
Right.
Be generous. Do not let your child feel that you hate that child because of the decision he's made or she has made. Continue with love and compassion. And I asked him to bring your child to me and we would sit down and have an intelligent discussion and see how we can solve this problem. So we don't believe in, okay? We don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. And people who try to put this out there that the Muslims are vicious barbarians and they believe in an uncivilized way of life that always dictates implement the punishment on the spot. You become the judge, the jury, and the executioner. This is by the Islamic law haram, what we call prohibited.
Yeah, forbidden, yeah.
Prohibited. It's forbidden.
I know, haram.
You cannot take the law in your hands in any society. In any society, wherever the Muslims may be.
Let me
right?
ask you
That's
this.
why
Let me
we
ask
are
you.
against
I've read-
terrorism.
I've read
That's
the-
why we
I've
are
read the
against
Qur-
terrorism.
I've read the Quran
Yeah.
in English, so I don't
Yeah.
speak Arabic.
Yeah.
And this is one of the impressions I got from the Quran.
Yeah.
Right? It seemed to suggest that if I'm a non-believer, whatever that means, right? If I'm a non-believer, I'm going to be punished.
Right.
Like that my non-belief is a choice, which I don't think it is. I think believing is just you're either lucky or unlucky enough to believe.
Right.
Right. And number two, it's a terrible thing if you don't believe, even if you behave in the most amazing way and you're very kind, generous, but you have doubts, you don't believe.
Yeah.
It seems to me from reading the Quran, and I may have misread it, so I'm asking you, that you're condemned as a non-believer. What do you
Okay.
think about that?
Non-belief.
Is that a misunderstanding of
That's
mine?
a misunderstanding
Okay, so
of
what
yours.
does it really
because
mean?
I will always talk with references.
Okay.
When you bring a question, it's a valid question, it's an intelligent question, and many people have this question. I will respond it directly from the Quran. Chapter 60 of the Quran, verse 8, clearly states that those non-believers who do not fight you for your faith and do not drive you out of your homes, God does not forbid you from being kind to them. We the Muslims have been commanded by God to be kind to non-Muslims directly.
I'm talking about non-Muslims. I'm talking about Muslims who decide that it's not for them.
Right.
Forget about non-Muslims for a minute.
Okay. There is no problem
Right.
if a Muslim decides that he doesn't want to believe in Islam, or there is no problem, unless that person comes out in public and encourages others to do the same. When it becomes public, it's a different matter altogether.
Why?
Because it's a social faith. Islam is a social faith. Again, it comes back to freedom of speech laws. Okay, there are certain things you can say in societies, and there are certain
Why do
things.
you care if you're so
You may
sure,
disagree with that.
If you're so sure about your faith,
Yeah.
not you personally, but if religious people are so sure about their faith, and I come out and I say, look, not only do I doubt the faith, I want to be secular, but I'd like whoever else
we
wants
have no
to come
problem
and
with
join me. Why are you so afraid of?
No,
Let me, you live your life, and I'll live my life with my friend, and we'll have a discussion.
No problem
and
with that.
Some people will go with you.
I made it
and
very
some people
clear.
will come with me.
I made it
Yeah,
very
we
clear.
have to
We
have
have no
laws
problem
against it and violence.
I have no problem. I have made it very clear. We as Muslims have no problem with people being secular. They want to
Including
drink,
Muslims.
including Muslims.
Right.
They want to drink. They want to have sex on the beach. They want to have orgies and wild parties and sniff cocaine. By all means, go and do it. It's your life.
Right.
Okay, but don't encourage others to do it, because that's when the law comes in. You cannot encourage others. You wanna live your life. You wanna go to Brazil, have the party on the beach, go and do it. We have no problem with that. It's your life. We as Muslims, let me clarify very quickly. We as Muslims, as a community, global community, have no problem with the choices people make individually.
That's not true.
But when those choices,
That's not true. Homosexuality, for example, in many Muslim countries, homosexuality is illegal and
It's
punishable
illegal.
by death or
Yes.
violence.
Yeah, that's
right.
So
if somebody happens
No,
to
no,
be
no.
born
Wait.
with a
It's
particular,
not punished by death, by the way. I don't know which country you're
it's
talking
in the
about.
Sharia law, and just recently the Sultan of Brunei said we won't actually enforce it because people stopped staying in the Dorchester Hotel, right? But he said he's going to enforce it. And in other countries, my understanding is Iran, for example, it's enforced in Iran.
Okay.
And I think
If
even
a
Pakistan.
if a society,
If I'm gay
wait.
and I go with my gay boyfriend and I stay in a
Right.
hotel and everybody knows and there are witnesses, I don't know whatever,
Okay.
I can be punished.
Okay.
Yeah?
That's a good point. Let's talk about it. A very good point. You're raising very intelligent questions, and we want to address them. If someone wants to be homosexual in a Muslim state, in a Muslim country, you can be homosexual in your home. Do what you want. Okay? Do
Are
it
you
however you
sure?
want. 100%. 100%. The moment you bring it in public and you want other people to be like you, then there is a law. Islam, you see, Islamic societies are based upon a divine law. We believe in a divine law. We do not have the power to change it. That law cannot be changed because we believe it is from God. God created us, He gave us a law to live by. Let me finish. Okay, in that law, if there's a clause that you cannot do X, Y, and Z, we have to live by that. We can't be hypocrites. We can't pick and choose. Wait,
hang on a second. I understand that you and other Muslims believe what they want to believe about God and divine law. The problem is there's 7.5 billion people on the planet, right? And we potentially could all believe different things. And the question is, what right do you have, right, to enforce by violence, right, your belief system about divine law on someone else, another Muslim, a member of your family, a non-Muslim? What right do you have to do that?
I'll tell
You're
you.
entitled to your belief, and you and your friends you want to believe and hang out together, whatever. But like when someone's born into the world, what right do you have? And before you answer the question, I want to just come back to my original question, which you didn't really answer. You told me the chapter, that Surah 60, blah blah blah. I'm just telling you that when I read the Quran, right, I know that you just told me that there is a verse somewhere in the Quran that says we should be kind and not.
Okay. Let me
there are
very
many
quickly.
other verses which seem to suggest, right, on
That you
the
fight-
face of
you
it,
fight disbelievers.
that disbelievers, right? The word disbeliever, which could mean your enemy, it could mean your son, it could mean your neighbor. I don't know what it means.
It could mean
And
your wife.
It's on every wife.
It could mean
and
your
it's
wife,
on
your
every
uncle.
other
It
page
could
of
mean
the
your
Quran.
uncle.
It's like,
So
disbeliever
when
this,
you read
disbeliever
the-
that, disbeliever that. I'm reading the book. I'm going, When's God going to get over the whole
Let me
disbelieving
respond
thing?
to your questions.
If God wants us to believe so much, why don't we have more signs? Because we don't have a lot. We have an amazing universe, but we have very little information about the nature of the divine. In fact, you say God divine. You know, God is
You're
one.
raising a number of points,
You know?
and let me respond to two of the points you raised. Can we enforce our?
I've got to go home in 2 minutes.
No problem. Can we enforce our ways on others? Absolutely not. In Islam, we are not allowed as Muslims to impose our laws upon the Jews and the Christians.
What about Hindus?
Not even Hindus.
Okay.
Okay. For example, throughout the Islamic civilization, Jews existed with Muslims
As dhimmi.
Okay, what does dhimmi mean?
Dhimmi means they didn't have full independence and equality.
Well,
They didn't have quality as human
you have a
beings.
misconception.
They had to pay tax.
There were Jewish prime ministers in Spain. Did you know that under Islamic rule, there were Jewish prime ministers, two of them, at least two of them, Hasda ibn Shaprut.
You're bringing out the good examples. In Iraq, they weren't Jewish prime ministers.
Okay.
And people had to pay a tax. They had to pay a jizz.
You can't have a Jewish prime minister everywhere, can you?
Sorry?
You can't have a Jewish prime minister everywhere,
You
can
seem
you?
to be denying.
Right.
You seem to be
Okay.
denying a historical story, which I heard, which I believe. Hang on a second. I'm saying there are instances where there are two Jewish prime ministers, but there are many other instances
If you let me answer your
where
question.
Christians and Jews
If you let me
were
answer your point.
second-class citizens in Muslim-majority countries.
First of all,
through
in the Middle
Quranic
Ages, let me
understanding.
explain very quickly. In the Middle Ages, there was no such thing as the second-class citizens. There were Jewish citizens, there were Christian citizens, and there were Muslim citizens. All of them lived by their own rules and their laws. The Jews had their Beth Dins, their own courts. The Christians had their bishops governing their societies. Muslims had their qadis. Okay, you don't believe me? Just pick up any basic history book on Ottomans and non-Muslims, or Al-Andalus and non-Muslims, and you will see how Jews lived their own lives according to their rules, and there was no mullah standing on top of their heads with a sword. You don't do Sharia, we will chop you. No, there was nothing like that. That's the conception you have been fed with by international media and by the international Islamophobia
Well, to
industry.
be fair, Islamophobia has been spread by extremist Muslims.
Let me finish.
In the media.
Islamophobia has been spread by two extremist entities: Western politicians and Muslim terrorists. I'll tell you why. Because this is a war between Western politicians who are terrorists and Muslim terrorists who are also terrorists, right? This is a war between them. Who are the victims? We, the Muslims, the majority, right? So how are the Western politicians terrorists? People like Tony Blair, I believe he's a terrorist. Okay. I believe Jeremy Corbyn recently said he should be in Hague for war crimes. He caused the war in Iraq, and that war produced ISIS. ISIS is a product. Okay, so how am I, Sheikh Mohammed or Joe or Terry or George responsible for that?
I'll tell you how.
Yeah.
You're not responsible for it at all.
We are Muslims. We are standard Muslims.
You're a victim of it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're responsible. What I'm saying is, right, that the ISIS, which came out of the deposed regime of Saddam Hussein,
ISIS came out as a reaction to
Yes.
Iraq invasion.
Yes,
and
they
ISIS.
successfully used Islamic text and
Let me
Islamic
talk.
belief
Let me
system.
talk.
Let me talk.
They used. Hang on a second.
I'm Muslim
They-
Kurdish.
Yes.
Who killed the ISIS? Who killed
Fine,
ISIS?
the Kurds, very good.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
Kurdish.
The Kurds.
I'm Muslim.
Yeah,
Very nice. I'm saying that they successfully use Quranic ideas and Islamic texts and Islamic laws, yes, through their disgusting interpretation of Islam, right? And they said our terrorism, this is our understanding of Islam, and they found succor in the text of the Quran, the same text that you read.
So tell me, which text in the Quran allows the killing of innocent people? ISIS has been killing innocent people. Tell me which text, which verse in the Quran indirectly allows the killing of innocent people.
Okay, let me ask you a question because I'm not familiar enough with the Quran. Is there no text in the Quran which has something to the effect of disbelievers shall be killed?
X, Y, and Z.
Killed. Doesn't say that anywhere in the Quran.
No. Disbelievers, those disbelievers who fight you, Quran says.
No, forget about the fight. It just says they don't believe, then you kill them.
No.
And by the way, even disbelievers who fight you, so you can say anyone you don't like fights you.
Let me respond to your point very quickly. The Quran.
I've got to go. Are you here every Sunday?
Last point before you go.
Yeah.
The Quran has many verses on peace, on war, on diplomacy, on wives, on children, on orphans, on society at large.
Right.
Quran is a book of law. Like the Torah for the Jewish people, the Quran is for us. It is a book of law. It has rules on everything. So how do we actually practice the Quran? By following the Quran and the prophetic example. Prophet told us, in the light of the Quran, when you are in conflict, when you have been attacked and you have to defend yourselves, okay, do not kill children, do not kill non-combatants, do not cut trees, do not destroy crops, do not demolish buildings, do not kill monks, do not kill elderly. All of these rules are there in the teachings of Prophet Muhammad in the light of the Quran. So Quran tells us what? In chapter 2, verse 190, 191 and 192. Quran tells us, fight those who fight you and drive you out of your homes. Fight, defend yourself, wala ta'tadu, and do not transgress limits. What is transgression?
I've got to go.
What I just told you.
Before
Very
you go.
nice talking to you. Thank you so
can we
much.
have a quick question because you ask him a lot.
One's got to go.
One
Ask a question.
No, one question to you.
Yeah.
It's
not asking him to leave. He's
quick answer.
You want to do my daughter's homework?
No, one. I will. Look,
It was very
what
nice
do
talking to you.
What do you
Very
think
nice
about,
talking
you
to
here every Sunday?
Almost.
What do you think about Israel doing now to Gaza? Are you aware about it?
I have
or no?
only 2 words to say about that.
About what?
Okay. It's complicated.
You see.
Yeah. But I'll leave
Imagine if the Nazis were saying that about the Jews.
No.
Sorry, Adnan,
I'll come back.
Imagine if they were saying that.